What's up, guys? It's me, Jeremy, and today, of course, obviously you can see I've got another vlog for you guys. I actually just got back from one of my badminton games, so I'm still wearing my jersey. Anyways, today I want to talk about how to be a consistent player in League of Legends. And this is actually kind of something that I've been struggling myself with, so I'm kind of making this video to give tips to myself and sort of discuss why and how I can become a consistent player. And of course, the first thing to understand is why you aren't a consistent player. And this can come from a variety of sources. Maybe sometimes you play in good conditions, sometimes you play in bad conditions. And when I say conditions, I really mean like you got a lot of sleep, or you're well fed, you don't need to go to the bathroom. Those would be good conditions, of course. Or maybe you got like 2 hours of sleep, you haven't eaten in all day, you're dehydrated, or stuff like that. Those are, of course, bad conditions. Things that just like make you feel bad, and for good conditions, things that make you feel good, your overall well-being and health feels good. And sometimes, yeah, of course, for why you aren't consistent, sometimes you can be playing in different conditions, or the most major source of this problem is definitely because you play against different players every single game. Obviously, you're not playing against the same players, and dealing with different players and different playstyles is very important to consistency. Like sometimes someone will play crazy aggressive on you and you'll be able to bait out their aggression and make this crazy amazing play that works out and you go like 10-0 or something, and then the next game your opponent will be super passive and then you get baited or you get ganked by the jungler and you go like 0-2 or something like that. And that's obviously a very big difference. Like 10-0, okay, you carry the game, you win. 0-2, you probably lost that one. Even though like you might have played equally, the outcomes of both sides were not the same because your consistency was just not there. And the first step to, of course, becoming a consistent player is to notice the fact that you are inconsistent. It goes back to one of my last vlogs and the importance of being self-aware. You have to realize your mistakes so that you can fix them. Once you can notice the major patterns in your mistakes that you're making, for example, one of the mistakes that I've been making lately is that when I go for a harass, I cancel my auto attacks a lot. So I've written that down on one of my note cards, and I'm noticing that and fixing that a lot in some of my games as well. And you guys should be doing the same. It definitely helps out, and this kind of thing will really affect your play consistently, because if you can notice your mistakes and the mistakes that you're making consistently, you can start to consistently correct those, and that will help you a lot in your consistency, because inconsistent play comes from making a lot of mistakes rather than sometimes you make an amazing play and sometimes you don't. Like the general reason why you're inconsistent is because you're making mistakes, not because you're making good plays, right? That makes sense, right? Anyways, yeah. So you should notice those mistakes and start to correct them. And one thing I want to talk about is actually like play styles and how they affect this. And it's important to know and analyze your play style constantly. Like I notice major things that I constantly do in my games is, one of the biggest things is I love to hug the bot lane bush. Since I'm a support player, obviously, I love to just sit in the bush like all day. And sometimes that can be bad. Like if I'm playing against an Ezreal, I get constantly hit by his Q. So when I play against an Ezreal, I have to change up that factor a little bit. Or if I'm playing against like someone like a Draven or something like that, instead of trying to not use the bush, I will just buy more pink wards and actually use the bush more effectively, since it can be used to a greater potential, since his harass comes from auto attacks instead of a skill shot nuke. And noticing those things in your playstyles, as well as mistakes that you're making very consistently, and correcting those, or at least trying to reduce the weaknesses that those things present to you, will help you guys out a lot in being consistent. And I just want to get into my last point for this, is that you really need to try your best every single game and make sure that you're playing under good conditions. If you're not well fed, or you slept for like 1 hour last night, I mean, come on, dude, just take a break, go back to sleep or whatever. Like League is always going to be there when you wake up. Like a year from now, League of Legends is still going to be there. A month from now, it's still going to be there. It's still going to be there. Rank play is still going to be there. It's not going to go away, but other things that you're skipping out on to play League might. So just make sure that you're playing under good conditions, you're well fed, you have a lot of sleep, etc. And that your mindset, like you have an active mind. I noticed that when I play games, sometimes when I'm a little bit tired, I have trouble thinking. But when I play when I'm totally good, I can think really clearly, and that will help me notice my mistakes. So if I make that mistake once in a game, even though I might make it like 20 times throughout the game, I can help lower that amount due to the fact that I'm noticing it and have a much clearer mind. I can think a lot better as well. And I think that's just about it for my tips for being a consistent player. I'm sure there's a few more things that I haven't covered that I didn't come up with, but that's really just the main 3 points, is that you need to notice your major mistakes or the mistakes that you're making consistently and correct them. Notice the weaknesses in your play style and then correct those as well. And then make sure that every single game you play, you're trying damn hard and that you're always playing under solid conditions. So that's it for this video. As always, I'd love it if you guys could support me with a like or some feedback in the comments. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this video, I'd love to see you in the comments too. I've made a Facebook and a Twitter page, so if you guys could follow me on those, that would be really sweet. And that's about it. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.